2, 3, 4.
Welcome everyone to Discover This. Today we're going to be talking about an interesting story that involves Hollywood actor Ty Hardin, maybe some of you heard of him, and a white separatist by the name of Jack Oliphant, maybe some of you heard of him. But we're going to talk about how they got together and the meetings they had and the plots they were planning and how it involved an armored car robbery. So let's get to it. Some of you may have heard of actor Ty Hardin. In 1958, actor Clint Walker walked out of his role in the TV show Cheyenne. Ty Hardin came in and finished the season of Cheyenne as the cousin, Bronco Lane. Hardin was such a hit that Warner Brothers gave him his own series titled Bronco. It ran from 1958 to 1962. In 1959, he tried getting a part in the film Rio Bravo that ended up going to Rick Nelson. He also appeared on the TV show Maverick and 77 Sunset Strip. In 1963, he appeared in the movies Palm Springs Weekend and also PT 109. In the mid-1960s, Ty Hardin went to Europe and appeared in some spaghetti westerns and other films shot around Europe. In 1968 and 1969, he starred in the Australian TV show Riptide. Then in 1974, he was arrested in Spain for drug trafficking, and he spent some time in prison. In the late 70s and into the early 80s, he appeared in some TV shows, including The Love Boat and various movies. In the mid-1970s, Hardin had a tax dispute with the IRS, and he ended up creating a tax protest school called the Common Law Institute, who distributed materials including something called the Patriot Handbook. In the early 1980s, Ty Hardin moved to Prescott, Arizona, and became a vigorous anti-tax, anti-government protester. He started holding meetings with many like-minded people, and in 1982, the group became known as the Arizona Patriots. Now, per FBI recordings, the meetings were anti-tax, neo-Nazi, anti-Semitic, anti-communist ideology that mirrored some other right-wing extremist views, to include paramilitary training and calling for armed revolution and overthrow of the U.S. government. Members were encouraged to stockpile weapons, ammunition, food, and other items, similar to other Christian identity type groups around the country. They would from time to time show the movie Red Dawn, sometimes at meetings, believing the movie depicted events that would happen soon. Ty Hardin published a newsletter called the Arizona Patriot. Publicly, leaders and members in the Arizona Patriots would claim they are nonviolent, and they are trying to correct the ills of the nation by legal means. Those means would be papering various courts with different claims and legal processes and things like that. In 1984, they gained some notoriety by issuing an indictment against all elected officials in the state of Arizona and demanding they resign within 30 days. However, in the meetings, the talk was of going after the government with violent means. By the way, the reason we now know, and the FBI knew at the time what was going on, was that one of the Arizona Patriot members was an informant for the FBI. Another member was an informant for ATF. And these informants would meet with their handlers after meetings and discuss what was talked about at the meetings and play some of the recordings they had done at the meetings. And some of these reports have been released via the Freedom of Information Act. So now enter Jack Oliphant, sort of well-known extremist, white separatist in Arizona. He was a member of the Christian Patriots Defense League. Oliphant had been living in various areas of Arizona, most notably around Cottonwood, but he had asked a realtor friend to find him the most remote piece of property he could find so Oliphant could move and build a Christian identity type of retreat. The realtor found a 320-acre property east of Kingman, Arizona, in the rugged hills, and Oliphant bought it. There's no electricity, no running water. There were 2 trailers and a large tent. It was 20 miles off the highway of bad, unmaintained road. It took almost an hour to travel that 20 miles because it was so pockmarked and rugged. As you can see from these Google aerial images, the property is pretty remote. Now, Oliphant started coming to the Arizona Patriots meetings and got with the other members to plot some of the more violent parts of their agenda. The discussions were about various bombing targets and how to fund the Christian Identity Retreat, which would actually be a training camp. Some of the targets that they were plotting against included a government building in Phoenix, Arizona, a synagogue in Phoenix, Arizona, an IRS building in Ogden, Utah, and some hydroelectric facilities along the Colorado River. As for the fundraising portion, the plan was to hijack a Wells Fargo armored car after it made its rounds, collecting money from the casinos in Laughlin, Nevada, before it headed out of Laughlin to Las Vegas. Now, the group was already practicing bomb-making operations at Oliphant's ranch. In fact, Oliphant had made a bomb-making video to distribute to other Christian identity groups. However, the group's main bomb maker inadvertently blew off 2 fingers and a thumb, making pipe bombs for the group. Because of recent arrests on the group, the Order, and also the group, the Covenant, the Sword, and the Arm of the Lord, the Arizona Patriots started putting their bomb-making plans on the back burner. But the armored car heist went into full-time planning. Discussions initially involved firing a homemade mortar at the armored car. However, some felt that that might burn up all the money. So the next plan was to create an accident scene where 2 cars would block the highway, and once the armored car had stopped, they would gas the guards, putting them to sleep basically, and then they would move the truck farther off the highway, take the money, then using some heavy equipment dig a hole and bury the truck. They would leave the guards up by the highway so when they came awake they would be able to find help. They decided that a Monday would be the best day for the heist, as the armored truck would be picking up the weekend receipts. A friend of the Arizona Patriots was a card dealer at one of the Laughlin casinos, and he was tasked with getting the schedule for the pickups. All that seems a little bit convoluted, especially digging a hole for the truck and all that, but that was their plan. In November 1986, one of the other members of the group was tasked with watching the armored car make its pickups around Laughlin, Nevada. On 3 separate occasions, he followed the vehicle out of town, but he lost the vehicle each time. So probably not the best guy for the assignment. So even though he lost the vehicle each time, they still had knowledge of the route leaving town and how they were getting to Vegas. So the group scheduled the armored car heist for mid-January 1987. The federal government was growing impatient and wanted to put a stop to the bomb making, the violent plots, armored car robbery, and all that. So in December 1986, the feds raided Oliphant's ranch and some other residents of members and arrested 9 members of the Arizona Patriots. All either pled guilty to their charges or were found guilty. Jack Oliphant served 4 years in prison. Ty Hardin was not charged in this indictment. After the raid, the Arizona Patriots basically fell apart, and Ty Hardin moved back to Southern California, specifically Huntington Beach, California, where he died on August 3rd, 2017. Jack Oliphant died at his ranch outside Kingman, Arizona on December 2nd, 1995. So that's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen, for this weird story about a Hollywood actor and a white separatist and how they plotted to rob an armored car, and never really came to fruition, but the planning was there. Got the interest of the federal government. So I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you taking the time. Please check out our other videos, and we will see you next time.